Happy Friday. Thanks for downloading another episode of Stage Door. I'm Kyle with Thom today. We have actually wrangled and finally got the very popular Heath Diehl to be here with us today with Black Swamp Players. Man, so it was kind of a chore to get you here because you're super busy. As soon as the season started back up, you were all about
off and running.
Yeah, just doing the shows and not bothering about being on podcasts, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But it's not just that. I mean, it's that we have this new building and we're trying to figure things out, and we've got renovations happening left and right. So yeah. Plus, I am not only with this organization, but I'm also the president of Wood County Humane Society. So
you have a life outside of theater?
I do.
Oh,
I teach.
Oh, you teach as well?
Yeah. So
and you do stuff at the Humane Society?
BGSU.
Oh,
heard of it.
Oh, you're like a high end teacher. You're a higher education teacher.
You've met professors, right?
Not really. I've seen them from afar.
Oh,
like,
we're like a rare unicorn.
Oh, with their leather patch jackets and stuff
yeah,
like
I
that.
don't have that.
You didn't go out and get one of the.
I did not.
Oh.
The professor starter kit?
Yeah.
No, I don't have one of those.
Oh, that seems like a miss.
I don't have a pipe either, so.
Oh.
You don't do anything at BGSU theater-wise, do you?
I did a number of years ago. That's kind of what started me on this journey. I hadn't done theater for years, since graduate school. And a friend of mine who is, I think, an amazing director, she works there. She was doing a show. And she said, would you play this role? And it was a relatively small role. It was a really weird role. He was basically a horny priest.
Oh.
And she said, would you play this role? And I said, absolutely. And then the bug kind of hit me again. And I'm like, why didn't I do theater for 20 years? So,
oh, you took a 20-year break.
Yeah, I was working on my career, and I was writing and researching and, learning how to be a really good teacher. And, that kind of took up all my time.
That's okay. I mean, you're allowed to have other focuses, obviously. I mean, it's not like you're getting big money running Black Swamp after all.
No, not getting any money doing that.
Right. So this is your side gig, obviously, and you just got to love it. So who is Black Swamp, and why do we have you here today?
Well, that's a good question.
Oh.
Black Swamp Players has been around for 53 years. And I think what we're doing now, because several years ago, the board voted to shutter the organization, to shut it down.
Oh.
This was at the end of its 50th season. And a lot of it, as I understand, I wasn't part of the organization then, but a lot of it had to do with people just being really tired and not having a strong volunteer base. Mostly our volunteer base, even now, is the board, and then a few, like a handful of people who have special skills, whether it's building sets or it's being stage managers or whatever. But in terms of running the organization, the people who were doing it, small group, and they were really tired, and they couldn't get anybody new in.
So they had just been doing it forever then?
Yeah.
And nobody was stepping up, and nobody was doing anything, so they were like, I'm done, man. I'm just exhausted. Can't do this.
Yep.
I get that. I get that, though. I mean, it's no small feat to run a theater department, obviously, or theater company, I should say. And if nobody wants to step, that's why nobody else was stepping up, probably, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would guess so. I really don't know, but I mean, it's pretty common in the nonprofit world to have boards that are overworked and volunteers who, maybe their attendance is spotty or maybe not at all. And I think that's what we've experienced in the past. So we're really trying to build up our volunteer base right now.
When did you step in then?
So it was right after the board had voted to shutter the organization. One of the former presidents and board members, he had put a call for new blood in the local paper. And he's like, oh, we just can't shutter this organization. I'm just not happy about this. And I'd thought about doing this once my time at Wood County Humane Society was over. We have to take a mandatory leave after 8 years of service, and mine's coming up in January. But, 4 years ago, I was like, well, if I don't do it now, I guess the organization may not exist when I have time to do it. So I answered that call, as did a number of other people. We got an injection of new blood, and we are here now.
So basically everybody panicked, it sounds like. Oh, crap, we need to do this. It's going to go away. So all of a sudden now they find time.
I think there was a little bit of that. There was a lot of nostalgia among some of the new people who came in, and they were like, well, I did shows way back when, and now this organization's not going to be around, so I want to help revitalize it, bring it back to life.
Who were some of those people that stepped up then? I know Bob is one of them.
Yeah,
Bob Marzola.
Bob came back. We had Penny Parker, who came on board. Inge Klopping had been there a while, but she, was part of that injection of new blood. And then since...
She's with Waterville, has big connection with them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So she obviously felt a need to come back and make sure that Black Swamp didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there were just so many people who stepped up at that moment and said, okay, we're not going to let this die. And it was a really good moment. We also, right after that, we were told by the church that we had been working with, they were where we were putting on our shows, that was going to be our last season there because they were kind of expanding what they wanted to do. I think it was with youth ministry, but it might have been something else. So we not only were revitalized, but we also had to look for a space. And fortunately, we found a great one.
Which
Wow.
is?
It used to be originally the First Baptist Church in Bowling Green. It, for a long time, was a daycare. Most recently, it was known as Plan Do Talk, and now it is the home of Black Swamp Players. We're over on Oak Street, and it is this lovely old church that is being renovated right now into a black box theater space.
Okay, and it's in Bowling Green. I don't know if we said that.
It is.
So it's in Bowling Green, so anybody listening to this that doesn't know, Black Swamp in Bowling Green. Why are they called Black Swamp?
Because of the Great Black Swamp.
Okay, all right.
I don't know much more about the Great Black Swamp.
Tom knows a better
It
answer.
It goes back to like the 1800s. So not that I was there. I may look like I was there, but it goes. That's what they originally called it, was the Black Swamp, and it's. I mean, the festival, everything is Black Swamp down in Bowling. That's kind of their
Thing.
second.
Okay,
name.
but the tidbit that you told me was they didn't want to be confused with
Oh,
Bowling
they were
Green.
named Black Swamp because they didn't want to be confused with BGSU's theater program.
See, this is
That's
us
why
doing
they came with
research.
them. Yeah, that was my 2 paragraphs I read.
Yeah, it's just
Black
us
Swamp.
researching, and then when I throw him a bone, he just dropped it.
I feel
I was
like though,
Tom
I
knew
should
some
have known
knowledge.
that.
He knew
We
this.
do now.
I
Yeah.
do now, but I didn't before, so good to know.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for, obviously.
Education.
Have you done anything with Black Swamp before you jumped in? No.
I
Have you
had
done
not.
anything since?
I have.
Such as?
And, it was one of those things where every once in a while I would see an audition notice and I'd be like, I should do that. And then I'd look at the stack of papers that I had to grade and I'd be like, I don't have time.
That's why it took so long to get him in, because he was like, I need to do this show. I haven't done a show, so I have to cancel on you, Kyle. You can't do this. I'm not doing that. We got to. He kept pushing it back.
He was
and
going all
pushing
those
it back.
other podcasts.
Right. Oh, yeah. He kept pushing me back and pushing me back, and I was like, it's cool. Whenever you can get in. So luckily, he was able to finally fit us in here between a couple shows. So
Well,
you
I'm
just
very famous on podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so what else have you done?
Just this one.
Okay.
But
You are famous now, at least to
I
us right
will
now.
be. I'm gonna publicize the heck out of this.
All
All
once it
right.
comes out.
So,
yeah.
what was your first show back then? You guys did just recently.
Well, I did several years ago now. The first show that I did with Black Swamp was Clue the Musical.
Clue. Okay.
And I played Mr. Body. But yeah, I've done a couple with
Mr.
Black Swamp
Body?
since.
I don't know what that is.
Mr. Body.
It
He's not
doesn't
even one of the
sound
He's the
characters.
corpse.
Oh, you're the dead man.
Yeah.
Oh, how
Oh.
fun.
But
Is
well,
a lot
you
of
know,
lines? Is there a lot of lines for that guy?
there actually were.
Oh.
He was kind of the MC of the evening.
Oh.
So the audience was playing along as a game, and Mr. Body was the one who was kind of directing it
Do you
all.
do it from the floor, laying there, all muffly sounding and stuff?
No.
Oh,
that
that'd
would be
better.
weird.
Now, did you? Was
It
more
would
than
be,
one
but you're playing a
night?
dead body anyway, so
It
I mean
was-
that's already weird.
And was there a different killer and a different weapon each night?
There was.
Oh,
so
that's
there's different. Now, what a great way to do this.
So the audience drew cards. Like I went around to 3 different people every night, and the audience drew the person, the weapon, the room, and then they had to play along.
Now that's
figure
like
it
fun.
out.
I don't know
Obviously,
anything
we
about.
haven't seen
I
this
mean,
one.
no, I see it. I seen the board
Well, the
game.
movie did the
Yeah.
same thing. They actually
Oh.
did different endings to the movie.
Yes.
What? So wait, they distributed like several movies, and they all were
They only
different.
did one originally, but I think there were couple different versions that they actually put out later.
Oh,
So
that's coolness. I didn't know that. Didn't know anything. I know nothing about this show, obviously, other than it's obviously based off of a board game.
It is. And
Right.
it was a lot of fun.
So it's a lot of audience participation, obviously, and
It was quite a bit, and the audience seemed to enjoy it. So
Wow.
I know I had a great time.
yeah. I mean, and this
Big
was
Dad.
at Black Swamp and in the church.
Yes,
Cool. Cool. And they should make that like a dinner theater or something.
it
too.
was.
Oh, it was?
it sounds
It's-
exactly
oh,
like that.
I can't believe you say. Yeah, it
Wow.
was. It was a dinner theater.
It just seems like it would be a good fit for dinner theater. So everybody's sitting around munching on their food, trying to figure out what's going on while your dead body's laying there, not laying there.
Yeah, no, I was up in this fabulous coat that
Oh.
I wore. It was like, gold and black and lovely. But no, I wasn't dead except for the end of Act 1. Not
So
to give
so when
away.
you die, then do you like? Is there like a thing that you gotta like? It looks like you're rising up from it, and then they replace you with like a dummy or something.
No, I
Oh.
mean, Act 1 ends, I'm dead. And then Act 2 starts, I'm laying there like I'm dead. And then I pop back up and
Oh.
start narrating again.
Okay, good.
So,
Good. So you narrate in the beginning before you get killed.
It's a murder mystery, and it's to get the audience involved,
Yeah.
basically. And that's what makes it a great dinner theater, I
Right,
think.
right.
Because that's how many dinner theaters kind of started anyway, is to get the audience involved.
Good.
remember
I was just gonna tell him to take a drink, and he did.
There was
I'm
there was a
like,
there was a dinner theater actually in Toledo years ago, and that's kind of what they did was mysteries. Even the train. What's the one?
Oh.
There's a train.
the one
that
in
goes-
Michigan?
Yeah,
We've done that
Blissfield.
before, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
it's-
we?
it's-
My husband and I.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if like you meant
Sorry,
Black Swamp.
I did my head nod
You
back
did the
to
head
him, and then
point
I
to
thought,
him?
nobody who's
No, it's
listening
a-
will know that I just did a head
Not a
nod back to
visual
my
medium.
husband.
I wasn't sure if you meant like Black Swamp did that.
The
No,
head
Had a
I'm
performance
sorry.
on there.
That we was very unclear, wasn't
It
it?
was okay.
You would think I was an English teacher.
Oh, is that what you do? Okay.
That is what I do. So
Precision of words, right? Precision of head bobs.
Those
Yeah.
could be a lot of fun. What? Anything else you've been in? Or?
yeah, so right before COVID, I did a farce called Psych. And that was great because the playwright actually came opening night and was there in the audience. So it was lovely to meet her. But, I've been mostly directing recently, which I kind of enjoy more than acting.
Nice.
And when they came back from COVID, and I said, "Oh, we got to make sure Black Swamp is one of the ones we record before, we're all back open again." You said, "Oh man, I can't because we're doing what
Talking with.
was it?
I think so.
What was it called?
Talking with.
Talking with, which is about what?
So it is a show. It's from 1980, and it is a series of 11 monologues for 11 women. And they are all kinds of monologues. One woman is on stage in labor. One woman finds the divine and her relationship with the divine in McDonald's. There is a baton twirler, a career baton twirler, who's had her hand crushed by an animal and she can no longer twirl at a competitive level. There's a former rodeo star, just all kinds of really interesting, eccentric women and really fun monologues.
These aren't exactly the normal My Fair Ladies and that. Do you do any? What do you call those? What do you call those?
Mainstream?
Mainstream.
Yeah. So So
Or
now
is
let's talk about that then. So first, what show are you doing right now?
So the show that is in rehearsals is Every Christmas Story Ever Told and Then Some. That's going to go up in December.
December what?
Oh, that's a really good
grab your-
question.
grab
I
your
brought
calendar
you,
out, yeah.
I brought you both magnets.
Oh, nice.
neat.
With our season on it, and
Just
I
don't hit the recorder with that.
Freebies. But see, that's another
That's
show
not a
I've never
main-
heard of.
yeah, it's not
Yeah,
Which one?
the one you just said. Every
Oh.
Christmas story ever told by everybody in the world, or something. What was it called?
Or is it? And it's just every story
Or, yeah.
ever told.
What did I do with those?
I don't know.
I'll find them
We'll
in a
find
minute.
them eventually. Yeah.
But you may not have heard of it, but you've probably heard of a show like it. So, The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. Have you heard
Yes,
of that
I've
one?
heard of that. Yes.
So it's the same basic premise. It's
Oh,
three
cool.
actors on stage, and they are. One of them wants to do Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and the other ones are like, "That is so trite. That's done by
Mainstream.
everybody."
Yeah.
And then they go through
Basic.
all of these different Christmas stories and holiday stories, and they act them out, and it's a lot of fun. I don't really know how the director's approaching it. There may be a lot of costume changes or not, but it's that kind of show where it's fun and it's light and there's a lot of hilarity.
It's like, how new does it get? Because every Christmas story, like right now, I can only think of A Christmas Carol and Elf, but I assume Elf isn't in it.
It's been a couple of years since I read it for the season selection committee, but it's things like Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, yeah.
And,
It's a Wonderful Life, maybe, or
I don't think that one would be a good one in there, but I don't think that one's in there either.
to me, that's the Christmas story we see every year.
Yeah, but Frosty, I didn't even think about like those kind of like Rudolphs and
Yes.
things like that. That I didn't even think. Obviously, those are big Christmassy stories. How what Santa came to town or something like that, But so those kind of things all somehow.
Did you say when Santa came to town?
Yeah, I don't know what things
Santa
are called.
Claus is coming to town. is what
Sure,
you're trying to
yeah.
get
What? The Nightmare Before Santa Came to Town. I can't remember everything,
You
man.
should have written
Okay.
this one.
My brain is sometimes in different locations. So, but somehow they stitch them all together, though. So that's
Yeah.
cool. That's very
Are you in this or are you directing it?
I am neither, because that show is going to go up while I'm working on August Osage County. I'm
What's that?
directing that in February.
Wait, what?
August Osage County.
Again, another show that I don't know. This is a show, right?
It is.
Okay.
I bet you've heard of it
That one sounds
because
familiar,
it
actually.
won the Pulitzer, and the film it was made into a film with Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep. It had Margot Martindale was in it, so I mean, it had a really big cast. Sam Shepard.
I've heard of all those people,
Okay, well,
but not the show.
It is. I would say it's mainstream, but it's not necessarily the kind of thing that community theaters typically do.
It's a play, then, right?
It is a play about a family in Oklahoma. The dad goes missing I'm not giving anything away. He goes missing at the beginning of it, and then everybody kind of comes home, and secrets and betrayals and lies are all revealed. I mean, it's a kind of classic American stage family story, but with a lot of twists and turns.
So is that what Bowling Green? Or sorry, is that? See, I screwed it up right there. See,
Black Swamp.
that's why you call it Black Swamp, so
Black
guys
Swamp.
like me don't mess it up.
Right.
So is that what Black Swamp does? Do they produce a lot of shows that are more on the fringe that we wouldn't know of? I mean, do they produce any, like Tom said, like big shows, or is it because you haven't had a huge stage, so you gotta pick?
Well, if you look at our history, it's been a lot of like the My Fair Ladies or a lot of Neil Simon. And in fact, our season opened with a Neil Simon play. That's the one that I was in and couldn't get to the podcast. But it was a little bit out of the ordinary. It was I Ought to Be in Pictures, which people probably know more from the film.
From the movie that I have
Yeah.
heard of, yes.
But you may not have known that it was also a stage play, and it
No.
actually was a stage play first.
That makes sense.
But one of the things we're trying to do, partly because of our new building, and we're dealing now with a black box rather than a proscenium, but also because we want to do this, we're trying to rebrand. And we're trying to do some things that better represent the community that we have, rather than the community that we might have had in 1952.
So what is the community that you have then?
Much more diverse. We want to be much more inclusive with the stories that we tell and the people that we represent on stage. So that's what we're trying to do with this season, which we picked 2 years ago. And then right now we're in the process of reading for season selection for next season. And we've got a lot of really interesting things that we're looking
Don't
at.
hold out on us, man. Come on.
Well, we haven't chosen anything
Oh,
yet.
come on. Well, give us some taste of maybe what you'd want to do. I know you guys
What's
did.
your dream? What's
Yeah.
your dream one to be able to direct or
Oh,
perform in?
there are like 4 that I've suggested that I really want to look at. There's one called Marjorie Prime, which I just found out a movie was made of.
Don't know that one either.
It takes place in the future.
Man, I hate saying that every time on this podcast. I don't know that one. I don't know
That's
that one either.
okay. You
we're-
educated me. I'm educated you.
We're learning in the process too, Kyle, remember?
Absolutely. But like every week I have to say I don't know something. It's kind of
Yeah,
hurts.
pretty much.
Don't know that one.
Think about all the drama that's out there, though. I mean, how would you know everything that's been published?
Thanks.
And-
See, he's trying to make me
Right?
feel better for being ignorant.
Ah.
So, yeah, but it's called Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that's an entirely different
Oh,
thing. No, it's called Marjorie Prime.
Ah.
It's about a woman who's in her 80s, and it takes place in the distant future. And there is this thing called primes, where basically it's artificial intelligence that brings back her husband, and so she's interacting with like this 30-year-old version of her husband because she's losing her memory. And it's a play about aging and about sometimes our inability to cope with our own mortality.
Ooh, deep.
Yeah,
Deep stuff.
it
But
is.
see, you have an entire university full of young students right there that would eat
do.
that shit up. See, so yeah, tap into those things, and you have a good theater department there at the university too, who would be able to enjoy a lot of these things. So, like you said, we were doing these shows from the 40s and 50s when these kids weren't even close to being born yet. So,
Not even.
so yeah, not even close. We're talking like, yeah,
Dude, I wasn't even born then.
yeah,
And I'm old.
60 years later they're being born. So it's like, well, how can they relate to those old shows? So now you're going to try and bring stuff in, at least from the 80s when they were, maybe they still weren't born. They still were just another 20 years before they were born, but
But at
closer,
least a little
closer.
more relevant.
Yeah, closer.
Yeah.
So what else? So what other great things you working on?
Um,
We're gonna pry something out of you here.
haven't I given you gold?
No,
already?
more gold.
Um,
Well, I know you did a couple years ago. You did "You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown." That was a cool thing.
That was before me.
That was before you.
Change.
I do know of that show because I've seen pictures. I think I know who directed it. But that was a little before me.
But that was, I would consider, more contemporary, more fun, more. Now we're starting to get in the right direction of what you would want to do.
Right.
Sounds like, or you and your board now would want to do, as opposed to doing I don't know that. I mean, just the fact that it's Charlie Brown, people at least know that. Oh, we know what Charlie Brown is, so we can move on from there.
So you got the university, but that's not where you get the majority of your actors. Is it from? Isn't it from the community or?
Not at this time. We would definitely like to create a stronger relationship between the university and our company. And, we're working on it. But historically, no. I mean, most of our actors, most of our directors, most of our everything comes from the community rather than from the university.
No offense, I don't really care for the students part of it. I don't. I mean, just because I feel like, well, no, they could be fly-by-nights, So I would rather Bowling Green, personally, Black Swamp, pull the locals. Pull the local people to perform. You're going to build yourself up a lot more as opposed to a university student who may be a transfer from another
But you
area.
could also get some of those university students that are going to slowly become part of that
True.
process and be the.
Well, I mean,
next
obviously the
one.
quality is going to be there, but I think we could probably pull some good quality just from the area as well. So,
Yeah, I think it can come from both. But one of the great things about our theater department is that they really work to make these students aware of what it means to be a professional in the theater arts. So the people who come from the university, at least BGSU, and I suspect UT is the same way, they're going to come with an expectation of the amount of labor, the kind of labor that they have to do, and they're going to be committed to that. So that's a good thing, but we just have to get them in there.
yeah. Yeah. Well, so do you have any other cool shows that would pull them in then?
Well, our musical this
My voice
year...
got really high there. I don't know what happened.
Our musical this year is called It Should Have Been You. It's been done in the area before, but, it's about a wedding and about the LGBTQIA community, and it is definitely something that requires some younger people. So hopefully that will bring some people in. I mean, the university only does right now 2 main stage shows. Well, I think this is because of COVID, but this year they're only doing 2 main stage shows. So I'm hopeful that there are going to be people who aren't cast who maybe will come out for our show.
And are they encouraging of allowing the students to go out and, because I know some of them are like, no, you can only do our shows. If you're part of our musical theater program, you can only do Bowling Green State, or are they okay with going out?
I don't really know the answer to
That might be part of your roadblock. If
I've
they're...
been told that's been an issue in the past.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if that is the issue now or if it's just that people aren't aware of what we're doing. So we're trying to raise awareness, and make people aware that there are auditions coming up. This is what our season looks like. But it takes time, like everything.
It's funny, over the time of a lot of these podcasts, I'm learning that the community is becoming larger.
Yeah.
It's,
The edges of the community are fading away.
right. You'll get people who will do Waterville Play Shop, who will also do Perrysburg Musical Theater, who also do village players, or it's not just one thing. So I would like to think Bowling Green and anybody else in the area would be able to, also go down to Black Swamp and be able to perform down in that.
Right.
And you're encouraging that, right?
We absolutely are.
Yeah, Perrysburg PMT is right there. So that's your first step. Anybody who's doing PMT would easily be able to go to Bowling Green and do some more stuff right there. The Ritz players out of Tiffin, that's not a far drive. Go ahead and come up and do some stuff. Fremont, Findlay, you're all in that area. So there's a community of people down there that could all be a part of things. I understand if anybody who's up in Adrian, Michigan is like, ooh, that's a hell of a drive. I'm not going. I get that, but there is God, I love this area though. We have such an interest everywhere.
Great.
There's so much theater going on.
I just named 4 or 5 groups right close to you that you should all be using each other and helping each other and building each other up. So I hope that's what happens. I hope you guys are able to. I've known about you since the beginning. That's just who we are.
1950 something.
Well, maybe not 1950. When I say since the beginning, I mean since I've known about musical theater. Because that was probably 2000 and whatever. But it didn't take me. It wasn't that hard for me to find you guys. Mm-hmm. So it's. I think with you saying, well, hopefully people find more out. What's the hold up, people? Go find them. It's not that hard, especially if you guys you post on the Theater Exchange.
We do.
Yes, I see those kind of things. You post photos. I see lots of crap you guys are doing. So and I'm digging it. So
what you want people to know about you to draw you into either performing or coming to see your stuff?
Well, I think that we are, I guess what I would want people to know, and I want to make sure that I phrase this diplomatically, because I understand, having worked in the nonprofit sector for the last almost decade as a volunteer, I understand that as a volunteer, there's only so much you can do as one person and as a group. But I do think that it's important for people to know that we are not your grandmother's Black Swamp players. We are changing. We are growing. And that doesn't mean that it wasn't good in the past. It just means that, like all organizations, we need to grow. We need to see some progress in what we're doing and be different than we were last year or 10 years ago. And so I would say, check us out, see the things that we're doing that are really exciting and new and different. If nothing else, come see our new space. Something new is happening every time we walk in that building. So if you were to come to all 5 of our shows this season, you would see a new space evolving in front of your eyes, which to me is really exciting. We want that to be not just a theater space, we want it to be an art space that will nurture artists and support local artists, whether we're musicians or painters or poets or whatever. That's down the road, but we want that to happen. So I want people to know that we are changing, we are still here, we are growing, and we are strong.
Growth sounds like the key here. The potential of growth just sounds great.
It really is. Just that space alone and what it has to offer us, it's amazing.
Nice.
Well, how about the high school there, Bowling Green High School? How's their drama program?
I think it's really great. I don't know.
See, there's your first step. Go down there and find out who's doing the drama there. Get those high school kids in there.
Barely a time for us.
Huh? Well, I know. He's got a whole board, though. He can get other people involved. This is not a one-man Heath show, right? You got to...
We do. We have a very good board, but we also have space on that board. So if anybody's interested, here's my plug.
There you go.
If anybody's interested, we do have vacancies, and we'd love to have people who, not just people who say, I love theater. That's great. But people who understand what board work actually is, that it's hard work, and it means that you're governing an organization, that you are helping it live beyond your own shelf life. And if that's something you want to do, please get in contact with me. We have spaces, and we'd love to have you.
And how do they do that?
They can simply send me an email at president@blackswampplayers.org, or they can contact us by direct message on Facebook, because we are very active on
You guys are on Instagram, too, aren't you?
That one,
Get on. Come on, man. That's where all the youngins are.
but I don't think anybody on the current board has the credentials. So we've been trying to hunt those down forever.
Oh.
If you're out there listening and you have our credentials, please
We
get in
can't
contact
log
with
into
me.
our account. So if you could just maybe start another one, it's called the Real Black Swamp Players. Something like that. They can just that
In the
other one will
meantime, go to
fade away.
Facebook.
Yeah, go to Facebook.
So-
The other one will fade away because it's dead and nobody's following.
Is that what
it.
happens?
Sure,
I thought
eventually.
things
I mean,
just lived on the internet.
oh, they'll live on forever, absolutely. But less people will follow them and follow you because you're actually updating.
I
That kind
see.
of thing. So just you can be the real one. You can be the real. What do you got? The,
The
real BS.
BSP.
The real BS. That's what you need to be.
I recommend going with Black Swamp.
I like the real BS. I'm just saying.
I kind of like the real BS
Okay,
too.
I'm
I'm sure my
outvoted
board
here.
will not.
Yeah.
but,
It doesn't matter,
it's
man. Move
memorable.
forward. I think Bob would like it.
Okay.
Bob is all about.
The real BS.
I'll speak for Bob right now. He'd be like, "That's cool, man. That's cool." Get him in there. But if you get to high school, I'm a little bit more attached to Bowling Green, Black Swamp because I'm from this little rural area, and I know growing up I had zero exposure to this kind of stuff. My thing was being in choir. That's all you had, So if we can get some of these fringe areas out in the rural areas to know, there's a thing called theater out
Right.
there. It's just in Toledo when I came here and I went to the museum and did all these things. I had this massive explosion in my head of exposure. I think that's what those areas need.
I would agree.
They need to know that just because they're not into sports doesn't make them strange. They're allowed to like other shit.
Yeah.
And theater's one of those things. I remember musicals, what? No, they're awesome. Now I have a podcast about them. I don't think my choir teacher would be amazed.
I think that's great. I mean, I came from a rural area around Chillicothe where your daddy should farm and you should play sports.
Yes.
And we didn't have anything except a senior class play, which was defunct by the time I was a senior, and a 9-week class on drama, which I almost failed because I did a really bad job on my first monologue.
You were
But
being
that's
dramatic,
the
were you?
I wasn't
won't hold you
dramatic
to that.
enough.
You weren't dramatic enough. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right that we need to have much earlier in people's schooling. Here are these options, and they're getting cut so much, not just theater, but music and everything that really brings me joy.
It's just an option that I don't think a lot of young people who live in the rural communities even know exist.
Yes.
It's like, I don't think anybody that I went to school with danced. A dance studio in Rising Sun or whatever little cornfield they were in, that's not a thing. If you were in the band, that meant you were in the marching band. That was it. So you better be playing the trumpet, buddy, or playing the drums. What's a cello? Never heard of it.
Right.
It's like that kind of stuff. So if you can get them exposed and realize, and it's all the arts. That's what I love about musical theater, though, too, is you could be an artist who's doing the set design, who's doing the painting for those kind of things, who's building the sets. You could be a performer who has a beautiful singing voice. You could be an actor who is just dramatically amazing. Or you could be in the pit, and you could do all that. You could be in the tech crew. There's so much that there's just, I know, I'm just saying there's just a lot. There's a lot, and people need to know that in those areas.
There's plenty to do, and it's not just the people up on
right.
stage
And those
performing.
people in that area, I'm speaking for myself. I, in that area growing up, didn't know any of this stuff. I'm an art director now. Never heard of it before growing up. I wasn't going to be an art director coming out of high school. What the hell? You can't be something you didn't know existed.
Right.
So that's what I think you guys are bringing to that area, though.
Well, I hope you're right, because I think that's a very valuable community service that we can serve. So absolutely.
Brag more about your place, though. Come on. I want to hear everything. Like you just said, you got these great shows coming up. What's coming up? You named one show.
Well, one thing that I would say, though, to go along with what you're talking about, we started this playwriting contest a number of years ago. And
See,
so,
another thing I didn't even mention. Somebody's got to write these damn things.
Somebody's got to write these damn
Creative
things. That's
writing.
right.
Creative writing.
But-
not encouraged all the time in the rural communities.
And we did it precisely because of some of the things that you're talking about. We wanted to nurture local playwrights, regardless of their age, We wanted people to submit, and then what we do is we're going to have the first one this spring. It's the last show of our season. It's by a Toledo playwright. Her name is Nina Wright, and her play is called Mimi's Famous Company. It's kind of like The Bad Seed from the 50s, but it's about this young woman who will do anything to make her card company succeed, including murder. I'm not giving anything away. So that playwriting contest is open to anybody. Our second annual one was supposed to be last year, but
whatever age, you said. So high schoolers, anybody.
High schoolers could absolutely. If you've got a one-act play, if you've got a full-length play, if you've got a musical.
I know a young man who wants to be a playwright. I'm going to reach out to him.
I would love that. And the deadline is not until December 31st. So we are actively looking for plays. And what we will do with it is we will workshop it with the director and the writer and the actors, and we will give it a full-scale production.
And so you're going to manipulate the show that they wrote, or are you just going to go through it?
Well, I think that depends on the writer and the director working through the rehearsal process. But what we wanted was a very intensive kind of workshop-y rehearsal process where that script, if it needed to be revised, if it needed to be kind of cleaned up, that it could be with the writer and the director and the actors working in collaboration.
I've been watching on Netflix the movies that made us stuff. These movies that they do get butchered. So if you're a playwright out there, sometimes you need to understand that you have a great idea, but maybe it'll get changed. And it's not the end of the world that you came up with a great idea, but it just needed to be tweaked a little bit.
Refined.
Molded.
Refined. And I've actually been a part of listening to shows. I forget what are those called. What are they called? They're called something where they produce the show and I watch it and I critique it. I'm a jerk. But other people are all critiquing it at the same time and they say, well, maybe this and maybe that and maybe that, and it's I don't know what it's called, but they may make adjustments on that. Mm-hmm. So they can hopefully get a finished product that'll be off Broadway, then on Broadway, and then a huge success and they make tons of money.
So those writing also contact you through the Facebook?
Absolutely. There is way back when, and we should probably, I'm making a mental note right now, we should probably put that back up, but we have a flyer on our Facebook that we posted
as soon
a while
as you
ago.
find the magnets. You find the magnets
As
first,
soon as I find
and
those
then after you
magnets.
find the magnets,
Really
then
don't
you
know
will
where those
post this.
went.
Yeah. But
They
you
were
go
in
ahead.
my
I know I'm a
hand.
jerk and I interrupt a lot, but you have
okay.
you
We have a flyer
Yes.
that explains all of it, but they can send it to president@blackswamplayers.org. They can contact us through Facebook with a direct message, and we will give them whatever information they need. But anybody who is a budding playwright out there, get those plays written by December 31st because we are actively seeking new plays.
What a
and
great
if they
way to
don't,
start.
it is great. And if they don't get it this year,
Next year.
See, so don't worry if you don't worry. There's always opportunities with you guys.
Absolutely.
That's good. So you got more shows though. You got at least 5. You said
We
or
do.
one. Minnie's. What was the first?
Mimi.
Mimi.
Prime.
Actually, I've
I'll get
mentioned
it
the
eventually.
rest of our
Optimus
season.
Mimi Prime. I got you. Okay. And
But
then
the rest of our season is simply the Christmas play,
Uh-huh.
which goes up in December.
the
My show, August Osage County, which goes up in February.
okay.
Then the musical, It Should Have Been You, which goes up in April. And then our last show is Mimi's, which goes up in June.
So literally, he has talked about all 5 guys.
Oh,
I just
yes.
didn't talk about them as the season.
Oh, can you sing a song from This Should Have Been You?
I can't because it's been 2 years since I read it and listened to the music.
Tom can. Can't you, Tom?
Sure.
It should have been you.
Kyle, I told you,
I'm
you're
pretty
not
sure
supposed to
that's
sing
not-
it.
It should have been you. That's in the show.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Pretty sure it's not,
It
too.
sounds like something familiar to me. What is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't
I get these little worms in my ears and I just sing them. So once again, everybody has to hear me sing a song. Just about
I
every
was here to stop that.
They
I
get to
failed.
hear me not know what I'm talking about, not know what shows are coming up, and they get to hear me sing a song.
It's a weekly event. It's okay.
There's somebody out there playing your podcast bingo where they're like,
Yeah.
okay, he's going to not know a show. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
no,
one
it's
of
take a
the-
shot. It's take a shot every time Kyle doesn't know a show. That's the best way to listen to this podcast anyway.
Take a shot every
Take a
time.
shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll remember that.
I wish it wasn't true, but it's true, man.
Kind of how you do them.
How you doing on the wine over there?
I am great. Thank you.
You haven't drank enough. I can see already from a distance you need more. You need to have some more
I feel
consumption.
like I've drank more than you have, though.
I may have put more in my glass.
Okay.
He's a professional at this, if nothing else.
I get it.
Maybe not the podcast part, but
God, I wish I could have
For
any
the
kind of
drinking
defense for what you say.
there's plenty of parts. There's going to be a reel somewhere down the road that we're going to play for you someday.
I've had entire halves of shows that never hit air because
Oh, yeah.
I may have had a couple too many Manhattans. So
Okay.
yeah, well, it's all good. We just have a good time. That's the point of these things is sit here, talk about theater, but you have a lot of plays though too. That's unique to you guys compared to a lot of groups.
Yeah, we only have one musical.
That's good though. I mean, you're adding again more diversity to what's going on in the theater world that we have. A lot of people just stick to musicals.
I know. And there's a lot of opportunity for that. There's not so much opportunity, even the people who do plays, they don't sometimes do dramatic plays.
Yeah, a lot of comedies, you're right.
A lot of comedies. So, there's a niche to be filled by us. We just have to kind of figure out what that is, and we're trying to do that as we select seasons.
Well, if Jeffrey Albright hasn't been down to see you from Actors Collaborative, he's going to, I'm sure. Because this seems stuff right up his alley. He would love it.
Yeah, they do fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
I love their work. They're doing some real cutting-edge contemporary stuff. So, yes, but we know each other, and he has seen some of my stuff at Octa, so although it was Neil Simon. But
you're such a basic bitch running Octa, huh?
did you just take down Neil Simon? Because
wow.
we're going to have a knockdown throwdown here.
I gotta go now.
What he takes to Octa is something that people know. That's all I'm saying. So he wants to win awards, obviously. That's all Black Swamp wants to do, win a bunch of awards.
Wow.
No, I think it's great, though. You guys have this niche, whatever however you pronounce it, that a lot of people aren't doing. So if you have plays, that sets you apart. There's like 3 groups in town that I'm aware of that are very play heavy as opposed to musical heavy, and that could be you, obviously another group. And I love that you're on the fringe out there in the rural community trying to make a difference.
You do the drama plays also. Do you find those tougher than the comedies?
I
I
like
do.
them more. And the only drama we're really doing this year is August Osage County.
Okay.
Everything else is, I guess the Neil Simon play had more drama than is typical in his work. But we're just trying to ease our audience, which is used to, the Arsenic and Old Lace, the Harvey, the Music Man, the whatever. We're trying to ease them into a new Black Swamp player. So that was where the Neil Simon came in. Plus, that's one of my favorite Neil Simon plays ever.
Oh, man.
So
I'm crawling into my shell now. So, but I like that plan of attack though too.
Yeah.
Same deal. It's like, hey, let's not go all the way to this other end that people don't even understand, and now we're the artsy fartsy weird group. Yeah,
but
sense.
we do have to make some changes because we are going into a black box space, which kind of limits some of the things we can do, and it opens up in other ways. So we're excited about that.
But it's a permanent space.
It is a
and so you'll be able to
space.
have permanent lighting, and you can start putting a set in sooner. And you don't have to worry about any of that crap anymore.
All of the above.
Oh, and that's huge.
And we don't have to worry about, I was only in the church, so, I'm not speaking now for Black Swamp players. I'm speaking for Heath Diehl. But I was only with Black Swamp for maybe a year and a half when we were in the church, and then we were out. But we don't have to deal with, during a rehearsal, people walking through, talking in their outside voices or their whatever, very loudly and not respecting that we were having a rehearsal going on, which kind of annoyed me.
Or any kind of restrictions that the church would have placed upon the theater group in there.
Oh, yeah.
About, you can't do that show, or you got to be, it's not your space. So you have to be respectful of what they're providing for you.
Yes.
So if they're saying you can have the space, maybe don't do a show that's going to offend everybody in the congregation.
And there are likely 2 of our shows this season that would never have.
See, there you go. So now you get to have a little bit more freedom. You get to have a little bit more time in that stage to build the set that you want to buid for reals, without having to take things down and up. And, all the community theater groups have their own unique challenges, obviously, but what you have is very cool compared to some other groups. You have a space now. With that space, you can really,
and it's the
do
same
some more
space
stuff.
you practice that you perform on,
Yes.
which is
Now.
even better. I mean, I think places that they have a place to practice, but they have to go somewhere else to actually perform it.
Right.
Which
That's what I mean. They got to
that's
tear
really
down.
nice.
They got to set up.
Right.
A lot of these organizations, they got a week in their rehearsal space.
Yeah.
Their actual rehearsal space.
Can you imagine how disorienting that is?
Well, I've seen it many times.
I
so.
would freak out. I mean, I'm a big planner.
But you were doing it already.
No, when
Oh.
we were in that space, we had it for, the whole rehearsal period.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice.
Which was nice, but like
The church gave up that space that whole time.
and that
Wow.
that's why they
That's very
want it. I mean,
generous
it's a
of 'em.
huge. Well, we rented it.
Oh,
so,
well,
I mean,
less generous.
It was less generous, but it was at a reduced rate. But
Yeah.
so whatever.
It's also why they want it back, though, right?
Yeah, because it's a huge space that they can use for a lot of their programming. So I understand that. But yeah, we were in the same space. I couldn't imagine. I would freak out if I had to rehearse in one space and then the last week go into a new one.
But that's pretty common.
Oh, it's
It
very
is.
common. This guy's a rookie. Exactly. I mean,
I totally am because I would not do those shows. I'd just be like, no, thank you.
oh, the anxiety level way too high, huh?
Huge.
That is everybody. That's almost everybody. So the fact that you guys have that, that's great. I mean, Waterville does it. 3B does it. I think Perrysburg does it too.
Yeah.
They all are bouncing all over the place. Oregon's lucky. They get to have their space a little bit, but not really because they share theirs with the junior high. So the junior high needs a stage to do their band productions or whatever. So yeah, you are very fortunate.
We are, absolutely.
And, I'm excited to go down and see, some of the stuff you guys are producing.
Well, I hope you come see August Osage County, which is going to be amazing.
Which is when?
It's in February.
Okay.
It's on the magnet that I can't seem to find. That's what we call a callback.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
That is the next thing that's coming up. No, it's not the next
No,
thing.
the Christmas show is
Christmas
coming up
show.
next.
Well, that makes sense. It's Christmas.
So hopefully
Yeah.
you'll come see that too, because that's going to be hilarious.
But then August Osage is in February, which I feel like I don't do much in February. So that's my month, baby. That's the one I will get out of the house and do something.
Okay.
Because I'll be in like deep winter, don't ever want to go outside mode.
I'm
and that'll
holding
give
you
me a
to
reason.
that.
Okay.
And now I know where you live. I probably couldn't get back here if I tried because I have a horrible sense of direction.
You have the address in your contacts, so I think you can find it.
And the best way to get tickets?
We go through a site called On the Stage, but we will post the On the Stage link both on our website, blackswamplayers.org, as well as on our Facebook about a month, maybe a little bit more before the show goes up. So the December show will probably post our On the Stage link by no later than Thanksgiving so that people can be getting tickets.
So just go to the Facebook page or the website.
Yep, either one.
And they'll direct you to it.
Everything on the Facebook page. That's how I see it. I see them. I follow them. Go, guys. Go follow them on Facebook. And see all the, put them at the little top there that says, give us notifications. That's what I do. Every theater group in the area, I just,
Your Facebook page
every
goes
theater
blowing
group.
up
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time.
No, it's mostly just the theater people. Yeah. So I don't see any of my actual friends on Facebook. I just see the actual notifications from all the theater groups as to what's coming on and what's coming up.
Either one of them?
Yeah. Neither of my two friends I see
Okay, I
at
just
all.
want to make sure. That's straight.
He's ready. He's ready every time to just tear me down.
We also work together.
Okay.
When we don't have enough time together, we gotta spend off hours. Even we're pathetic. I don't know
love
what to tell you. So I'm glad you drove all the way up here though and managed to squeeze us in because I know that
I'm not
Yeah.
busy right now.
that was an ordeal though. I
It
mean, you were
was,
trying to pass me off on to other people and
I wasn't passing anybody
no, and
off.
she
It
was like,
just,
no, I can't do that. Who was
every
that?
date you gave me, I was like, oh, he's gonna think I'm just like lying about this. But every date you gave me, it was a rehearsal or
Yeah.
something.
Well, we only record on certain days, so
Yeah.
you're like, well, that's a
And I mean, I am on 3 boards, so
Ah.
like putting my time there and teaching.
yeah. Who
and
was the lady you were gonna send me to? Who was that?
She's one
The
of our
VP?
board members.
Okay.
Yeah, but she obviously couldn't. Do
Yeah,
it
she's
either.
like, these 12 dates you gave me don't work.
And that's when I said, okay, I'm just going to do this. And I'm so glad I did.
Okay, I'm glad
It's
you
worth
did
the
it.
wait
Great
for us too.
conversation.
Absolutely, Heath.
I know. I sent him I sent him a list.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was
every
like
week I sent him
17
another
dates.
list. And I sent him another list. And I'm like, none of these work, huh? and then he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna send you to this other person. And then I sent her a list, and she's like, none of those work for me either.
Well, it came up at a board meeting, and Bob said, okay, can anybody do this?
Oh, thank
and
you,
I
Bob.
said, I'm sorry. I've said I can't do this, but I can do it soon. And then this other person stepped up, and then she couldn't do it, so didn't really step up.
Yeah.
And finally, I was like, okay, they're gonna think I'm playing hard to get. So I'm doing it.
I only wanted
making it
you
happen.
more after that. I was like, oh,
Was
now I
it?
gotta have him.
See, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, I gotta have Heath. He's just getting sexier every time he says no to me.
God, I haven't heard that since never.
I was like, this guy, dreamy. He just keeps saying no. You gotta have him on now. So